Welcome to the IGCSE English as a Second Language course. In this video, you will rewrite direct questions into indirect questions. So please prepare your book and pen and let's start. Today's lesson will be Chapter 1, Leisure Time. We will work on pages 5 and 6. Exercise 3. In this exercise, you have these given direct questions that you should rewrite them as indirect questions. To solve this exercise, you should remember that indirect questions use normal sentence order, no subject, and verb inversion. We should also know that the WH type indirect questions start with the WH question word followed by the rest of the words. Let's understand this through an example. If we take the direct question, why are you leaving so early? Let's start with, could you tell me, as an indirect question. Then we write the WH question word. In this case, it is why. Could you tell me why? Then we find the subject, which is you in this case, and we write it after the why. Could you tell me why you? Then we find the verb, which is are leaving in this case, and we write it after the subject you. Finally, we write the rest of the words so early. Could you tell me why you are leaving so early? And we put the question mark. Now let's take this example. The direct question is, can Jim play the violin? It's a yes or no question. Let's start it with I was wondering in the indirect form. Because we have a yes or no type of indirect question, we have to start with if or whether. Then we find the subject, which is Jim, and we write it after if or whether. Then we find the verb, which is can play, and we write it after Jim. Finally, we write the remaining words, which is the violin. We end it with a period because we started with a sentence form. The sentence becomes, I was wondering if Jim can play the violin. So, if the direct question has do, does, did as an auxiliary verb, omit the verb do and write the main verb in the same tense as the verb do. Let's together look at this example. The indirect question is, did your friends watch The Matrix last night? Let's start with I want to know when changing it into indirect question. Because we have a yes or no type indirect question, we have to use if or whether. Then we have to find the subject, which is your friends, and write it after if or whether. Then we have to find the verb, which is watch, and we write it after the subject in the same form or the tense, which is watch will be watched. Finally, we write the rest of the words, The Matrix last night. The final sentence will be, I want to know if your friends watched The Matrix last night. Now, we are going to rewrite these direct questions as indirect questions starting with the words given. Let's start with the first one. First, we have to decide if the question is a yes or no question or a WH question. What is your favorite type of music? It started with what, so it is a WH question. So I have to write what in the blank. I'd like to know what. Now we are going to look for the subject. Be careful that when the subject has an adjective, we shouldn't forget to write it. The subject is your favorite type of music. So the sentence will be, I'd like to know what your favorite type of music. Now we have to find the verb, which is as. So We have to add is at the end of the sentence with the period. I'd like to know what your favorite type of music is. Now let's go to the second sentence. Do you like dancing? It's a yes or no question. So the first thing we have to decide the type of the question. So we have to put if or whether because it is a yes or no question. Then we are going to look for the subject, which is you. Could you tell me if or whether you? Then we have to look for the verb, which is like, and we have to add it after you. Do is in the present simple. Like should be in the present simple. And we have to continue the sentence. Could you tell me if you like dancing or whether you like dancing? Now let's go to the third sentence. What are you going to do this weekend? We have to determine the type of the question, which is WH question. We have to add what. Then we are going to look for the subject you and the verb are going to do, then continue the sentence this weekend. The sentence will be, would you mind telling me what you are going to do this weekend? D. Have you been cycling recently? First of all, we have to determine the type of the question. Of course, here it is a yes or no question because it started with the helping verb have. So I have to put if or whether. Then we are going to look for the subject, which is you, then find the verb, which is have been cycling, and add the rest of the sentence, which is recently. Could you tell me if you have been cycling recently? E. Did you enjoy the last film you saw? First of all, we have to determine the type of the question, which is yes or no question, because it started with a helping verb did. So I have to put if or whether, then determine the subject, which is you, then determine the verb, which is enjoy. I'd like to know if or whether you. Now, because did is in the past simple, so enjoyed should be in the past simple. I'd like to know if you enjoyed, and we have to continue the rest of the sentence, the last film you saw. F. What did you do for your last birthday? First of all, we have to determine the type of the question, which is WH question, because it started with what. So we have to add the word what. Then we are going to look for the subject, which is you. Then we are going to find the verb, which is do. Would you mind telling me what you? Now, because did is in the simple past, so do will become did in the past tense. And we have to continue the rest of the sentence. So it will be, would you mind telling me what you did for your last birthday? So, by this we have ended exercise number 3. Thank you.